Dear friends, an English translation is available at the information desk of this opening speech. Mitt navn Roar Krogshus. Som leder for arrangementskomiteen for disse UFO-dagene vil jeg på vegne av arrangørene, de to UFO-organisasjonene i Norge, UFO-Norge og NETI, Norsk organisasjon for studie av utenomjordisk intelligens, ønsker dere hjertelig velkommen til denne første UFO-konferansen i det 3. årtusen. På bakgrunn av vårt gode samarbeid, som dere ser et resultat av her med den foredragslisten vi har, oppfordrer vi andre lands UFO-organisasjoner til å forene kreftene mot det felles mål som UFO-forskningen streber mot. Nemlig åpenhet og hjelp fra myndigheter som berørt av fenomenet, slik at vi kan få et svar på hva UFO virkelig og bli mer fortrolig med det. Det derfor med ydmykhet og takknemlighet at vi kan presentere her i dag og i morgen noen av de dyktigste menneskene som søker sannheten om UFO-gåten på denne vår klode. Vi som bebor denne kloden har nettopp forlatt et 100 år, som for omtrent halvparten av verdens befolkning har vært preget av enorm teknologisk og materiell fremgang. I de siste 50 årene av det forrige århundre har UFO-organisasjoner og enkeltmennesker over hele verden undersøkt, forsket, filmet, sett og opplevd, men aldri greid å få tak i det harde, udiskutable beviset for hva UFOer egentlig Hvor står vi så etter disse 50 årene? Og noen dager inn i år 2000. Hvis vi legger en stor undersøkelse i USA til grunn, som foretatt i september 1996, og antar at tallene representative for også Europas befolkning, betyr det at vi har en virkelighet i dag som går ut på at 350 millioner mennesker i USA og Europa alene tror at UFOer virkelige. 310 millioner mennesker i USA og Europa tror at UFOer har besøkt jorden. 85 millioner mennesker på de samme kontinentene har sett. 85 millioner mennesker har sett noe de trodde var en UFO. I tillegg, hva kan vi summere opp i tillegg av disse kjensgjerningene? Tusenvis av mennesker som forteller om møter med UFOer og med utenomjordiske, som har gitt et meget sterkt personlig inntrykk. Tusenvis av filmer og bilder av fartøyer har vi. Bare over Mexico alene de siste 9 årene foreligger det 5000 videoer og bilder. Vi skal få presentert det beste av dette senere. I tillegg til disse øyenvitnene, så har tidligere etterretningsoffiser Bob Dean med NATO-hovedkvarteret SHAPE i Paris, han har påstått at NATO har latt utarbeide en rapport i 1964, som han har sett, som konkluderer med 1. Vår planet utsatt for omfattende, massive og meget grundige undersøkelser av flere utenomjordiske sivilisasjoner. 2. Disse demonstrerte ekstremt avansert teknologi som muligens lå flere tusen år eller mer foran vår. Det en plan eller prosess i deres kontakt, som gradvis førte til at stadig flere mennesker observerte dem. Punkt 4. Mye tyder på at dette har funnet sted i flere årtusener. Punkt 5. De så ikke ut til å representere noen militær trussel. Hvis de, i anførselstegn, var fiendtlige, var det absolutt ingenting NATO kunne gjøre med det. Det var en konklusjon fra 1964. I tillegg, astronaut Gordon Cooper, som i 1965 gjennomførte den da til lengste bemannede romferden, sa i et intervju med Los Angeles Herald Examiner som ble offentliggjort den 15. august 1976, og jeg siterer: «Intelligente vesener fra andre planeter besøker vår klode i et forsøk på å få kontakt med oss. På mine flyvninger har jeg møtt forskjellige romskip. Både NASA og den amerikanske regjering vet det og er i besittelse av en mengde bevis. Likevel bevarer de tausheten for ikke å alarmere befolkningen.» Sitat slutt. En annen, admiral Roscoe Hillenkotter, direktør i CIA fra 1947 til 1950, skrev i 1960 et brev til Kongressen hvor han uttalte: «Det er på tide at sannheten skal bli allment kjent i åpne kongresshøringer. Høyere offiserer i luftvåpenet er uoffisielt noe bekymret over UFO-fenomenet. Men gjennom offisielle hemmeligholdelse og latterliggjøring er mange innbyggere forledet til å tro at ukjente flyvende objekter er bare tull.» Sitat slutt. Fra Spania vil jeg sitere general Carlos Castro Cavero i det spanske luftvåpenet, som i 1976 sa: «Jeg personlig tror at UFO-er dreier seg om romskip eller utenomjordiske fly. Landene i hele verden arbeider for tiden felles med undersøkelse av UFO-er. Det finnes en internasjonal informasjonsutveksling.» Sitat slutt. Som om det ikke er nok. Oberst Philip Corso, som tjenestegjorde under president Eisenhower og Kennedy, påstod under ed 2 måneder før han døde i 1998 at et ekte utenomjordisk romskip med vesener ble funnet nær Roswell, New Mexico i 1947. Han sa han personlig studerte en av de døde fremmede vesenene. Enda mer betydningsfullt forteller han at han tidlig i 60-årene var stasjonert ved Pentagon og ble tildelt den superhemmelige oppgaven med å fordele materiale fra det fremmede romskipet til ulike forsvarsrelaterte og sivile selskaper som skulle kopiere det fremmede materialet til nytte for menneskelig teknologi. Og hva gjør fellesskapet, fellessamfunnet, hva gjør verdenssamfunnet i den forbindelse? Hovedforsamlingen i FN gjorde et historisk vedtak, nummer 32-426, den 19. desember 1978, om etablering av et organ eller kontor under FN for å koordinere og spre resultatene av forskning om uidentifiserte flyvende objekter og beslektede fenomener. Ikke en anbefaling, det er et vedtak om etablering. Det er 22 år siden. Dette vedtaket er ikke blitt gjennomført eller senere fulgt opp i FN, så vidt vi vet, fordi ingen stater har tatt initiativ til å purre på konsekvensene av et slikt vedtak. Vi oppfordrer derfor våre myndigheter til å gjøre Norge, som på mange områder er et modig foregangsland i verdenssammenheng, til mer aktiv når det gjelder holdninger til UFO-fenomenet. På denne måten, nasjonalt, etablere forskning på området og derved følge det historiske og banebrytende initiativet som Holtålen kommune har tatt. Som trolig den første lokale myndighet i verden har kommunens administrasjon og politikere tatt UFO-fenomenet på alvor og søker å etablere et UFO-senter i bygda nord for Røros. Kommunen er også utstiller på denne konferansen. Internasjonalt. Norske myndigheter bør følge opp FNs vedtak 32-426 av 1978 og oppfordre verdensorganisasjonen til å sette vedtaket ut i livet ved å etablere et slikt organ. På samme måte som vi alle har et fellesskap i å være beboere på denne planeten, har vi også et slektskap med de som bebor andre planeter i universet. Vi er av samme opphav og tilhører det samme univers. Det håper vi kan bli en utbredt holdning på jorden. Hvilke følelser og inntrykk har så de som har hatt flere nærkontakter med UFO-er? Sherry Adamjak, en av Stephen Greers mest betrodde medarbeidere, gjorde seg noen refleksjoner før hun døde i januar for 2 år siden, etter å ha blitt utsatt for hudkreft. Hennes ord og ånd følger oss under denne konferansen. Hun sa, vi må bevege oss inn i den nye tidsalderen og innse at det er mange, mange andre intelligente sivilisasjoner i universet. De er våre brødre og søstre, og vi har mye mer av livet til felles med dem enn vi kan finne av forskjeller. Uavhengig om vi ser fullstendig forskjellig ut i forhold til dem, en ting som vi i alle fall deler, er intelligens og bevissthet. I vårt arbeid med å få kontakt har vi vært veldig heldige og velsignet med å ha hatt noen utrolige nære kontakter. Den dominerende erfaringen fra alt dette er det absolutte fellesskap og den absolutte vennligheten som vi opplevde. Med et inderlig ønske om at dette arrangementet vil bringe enda klarere bevis på at vi blir besøkt på jorden av andre sivilisasjoner, slik at vi kan være bedre forberedt på en fremtid hvor vi snart kan ta imot våre fjerne naboer med åpenhet og en tillitsfull holdning, erklærer jeg UFO-dagene for åpne. Takk. Jeg vil introdusere våre gjester på engelsk. De vil snakke på engelsk også, så det er vel ikke noe problem med den introduksjonen heller. Let me first introduce Derrel Sims. He has been for 35 years at his company Sabre Enterprises and Found for Interactive Research on Space Technology. He used to be a senior military police officer and was in the CIA for 2 years during the Vietnam War. He had his first experience at the age of 4, and for 13 years these events continued. At age 17, his events ended suddenly and violently. Since investigating this phenomenon, he has a few answers now that I think will be useful for the UFO community at large. Some very important procedures and techniques that may help all abductees, contactees, and skeptics to find an answer. Derrel Sims is one of the world's best researchers on implants. He is the one being able to show hard evidence from alien encounter. The title of his speech, Medical Philosophical Implication of Alleged Human-Alien Contact, Implants and New Evidence, and in Norwegian, implantater og bevis, medisinske og dypere filosofiske sammenhenger i antatt kontakt mellom menneske og romfolket. I'm proud to introduce you, Derrel.
Can everybody hear me? Is that good? Okay. Okay. Please, the video.
Man has wondered, are we really alone? Now, for the first time ever, you'll witness shocking evidence that's been hidden from the world.
We found the material to be extraterrestrial.
Physical evidence of alien contact. You've never seen anything like this before. From actual alien implants to pieces of the Roswell craft, you'll go inside the real X-Files and uncover the secrets the government doesn't want you to know. Concealed from the public for over 50 years, you'll be amazed as pieces of the Roswell crash debris are revealed for the first time.
This could be the proof that science is looking for.
And you'll be shocked as you witness alien implants being removed from ordinary people. Has man already made first contact? for the first time in history, will see the physical proof and witness the astonishing truth. We are not alone.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin the slide presentation, I would like to ask just a few questions. How many of you have actually seen what you may consider to be a UFO? Wow. Wow. We may have to stay in Norway for a while. How many of you have seen a UFO and you did not know what it was? You still don't know what it was. Very good. Okay. Good. That's honesty. How many of you saw a UFO and you did know what it was? Wow. How many of you took a ride on a UFO? How many of you came back with a souvenir, like an implant or something? Not one hand, two. We need to talk. Okay, good. Evidence is what we're all about. Evidence is very important to me. Because a person does not have evidence in their event does not mean it didn't happen. However, to the medical and the scientific community, it means nothing. In fact, it's worse than nothing. That's just the way it is. So I'm in this hard spot. The abductees and contactees, how come you don't believe me? I do, but that's not the point. And then the science committee, it's not true. So I'm in between both of them getting all this pressure. So I have to live with the scientists and live with these doctors who are skeptics, which I want. I want skeptics. Why? Because if they tell me it's correct and it's alien, do I have to wonder if it is? Not at all. One scientist who was a skeptic looked at a piece of material that we refer to as the Roswell material. He told me from day one, he said, I am going to prove you wrong. I said, why do you think I chose you? He said, well, you're crazy. I'll debunk this. I said, you're a scientist, you'll do the right thing. If it's false, you'll say false. If it's true, you'll say true. He said, that's true, but I know it's false. I said, you're not a psychic, you're a scientist. Get the work done. He was so impressed with what he saw, he came to the 50th anniversary of the Roswell reunion, stood there on national TV, NBC, ABC, CBS, with me, and gave a science lecture on extraterrestrial isotopes in that object, and that it was manufactured, and he lost his job. The hazards of getting too far on this side, you see. So he lost his job at the University of California. So that happened. So I keep a lot of my scientists and my doctors private. I don't tell people who they are because I don't want the reputations hurt. That's just the way I do. Abductees, contactees, I don't give people their information unless they want it out. It's just a privacy thing, and that's just the way it has to be. I have many things to show you this morning. But before we get started, I want to show you, we'll do several demonstrations while I'm up here. For those of you who want to come out to my table later and look at some of the videos and various things and evidence I have and so on that I brought with me, we'll also show you some of these things, and I'll go over these with you if you like at the table. This is a radiation detector. That's normal background radiation you're hearing, just a little click. That's a radioactive product, and it's actually quite dangerous. If we hear this on you, and you just took a ride, we need to talk. We'll check you with other kinds of instruments too to see if there's something electronic inside you. And some people think all the implants that I found are not alien, they are intelligence related. I assure you they are not. I do have some intelligence related implants. They are vastly different. Then we'll use some other equipment out there and have a lot of fun. That one's for you. Okay. And one other demonstration I'd like to do. This is a very powerful magnet. It's a dielectric magnet. It's very powerful. This is a normal piece of metal. You drop it through this tube. It'll come out very quickly, as you can see. It's normal gravity. However, when you put a aluminum tube with that circumference and you drop a very heavy, powerful magnet through it, it takes forever for it to get out because it creates its own field inside. Even though it's not magnetic, you can use non-magnetic and magnetic things and get different effects. This is just an illustration of perhaps maybe UFOs are using even current technology, so to speak, current physics. They're not violating physics laws. They're just doing it in different ways we're not aware of. Does that make sense to you? This should not happen, but it does create a field inside it that is not magnetic, but it creates a third field, a different one, okay? So that's just a little demonstration for that. Okay, and then those of you who want to come by the table and play with that, you're welcome to. Okay. Let's go ahead with the slide program. See if I can run this thing. A hypnotic anesthesiologist is simply a person that takes someone into surgery. If you go into surgery, you have perhaps a fear of anaphylactic shock to an anesthetic or a general anesthetic. You would call me. I'll put you in a deep trance and you won't even feel a thing. The nice thing about it is whenever you wake up, so to speak, you'll probably heal about 3 to 5 times faster, which is a nice little thing too. Okay, let me make sure I've got this right. Okay, this is what I do, hypnotic anesthesia. This patient is going through an alleged, I have to use the word alleged, I'll quit using that in a moment, surgery for a biological implant. I assure you it is not human. This lady is going through full hypnotic anesthesia. The surgeon is actually freaking out. He's I can't believe that she's doing this. And he's cutting on her, and he cannot believe that this lady is not feeling a thing. So this was very effective. She was, her brother, this abductee family, her brother spontaneously combusted in Los Angeles. This is a matter of record in the city of Los Angeles. A very unusual case. Very unusual. The lady has also had physical implants in the foot, just like the first surgery that we made public. This is some of the materials that I usually bring with me. Most of the stuff is in labs right now. Everybody's always complaining, why don't you put it in the labs? Well, it's in 3 different labs in 3 countries right now because I don't trust one lab in one particular country. That's just the way it is. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. Another thing I do, I'm a master level NLP and a master hypnotherapist. That means I train and certify people in hypnotherapy. This lady had a snake phobia. The psychologist said it would take 2 years to get rid of this phobia. We did it in 11 minutes. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you understand how the human brain works, you can do all kinds of things because you're very fast and you're very intelligent. You just need somebody to help you along that way. These are the first implants we removed out of the feet of the lady. These 3, and this one from the man's hand. They all were found to be rare meteorites from the Widmanstatten structure meteorite. I don't think that's intelligence related. You got to go out in space to find one first. They're quite rare. And then you got to get them and install them in somebody 40 years previously, cover it with a biological membrane that they're still confused over, and do that 40 years ago and not tell the abductee it's in there. So that's a pretty good trick. I've written a lot of material out there on implants and other evidence, and you're welcome to review some of that. A lot of people have been asking for my book. I have written a portion of my book, and I have it out there, and I guarantee you it is fascinating. It's very well done. I presented to the American Medical Association to 250 surgeons on the subject of implants. This was a first-time thing that's ever happened in the history of AMA. These are some of the objects we have in Toronto, in a lab in Toronto. This is the first surgeon that helped me, Dr. Lipson. He owns 2 pediatric hospitals. These are 2 abductees that came along and testified for these 250 surgeons. And some of this I'm going to go a little fast through, and then we're going to slow down when we get to the implants so that you can get some good looks at these. This is the Haikui Museum. This is a museum in Japan. The building cost $52 million. You can see it even looks like a UFO. That's a Redstone rocket. It's the actual Redstone rocket they bought from NASA. My work is on interactive video in that museum. This is a medal that they gave us for those of us that presented in there. Also medals and awards in Slovakia, where I presented last year for the last 2 years. My wife made this, and she calls me Indiana Derrel because we have exotic wild animals, mountain lions, tiger, and so on. So she made this. She said, put this in your presentation. She says, because you were traveling all over the world, and she says that's what she calls me. So she has a little joke there on me. This is my wife, or this one, I don't know which. This one. Yeah, that's the one. This tiger. And this lady will literally follow me anywhere. In fact, this is fire that we're both walking over, and she, when I say she'll follow me anywhere, she really will. So I'm very proud of her. She's a sweetheart. Where do these beings come from? Is it deep space? Is it in the Pleiades? Is it here in the mysterious eye in space? Where are they coming from? Some people think they come from the Jovian system, Jupiter. That's what they think. I don't know. Some people think they come from Saturn. NASA just sent a program, the Cassini project. I was one of the few people that was at an invitation-only meeting for the JPL on the Cassini project. It was incredible. My question was, why are you sending it up to Saturn? Don't we have anything closer you like? Because there's something there they found. See, they're not going to tell you that. Interesting stuff. This is Mimas. Does anybody know what that is? It's a small little planet-like little moon on Saturn. It's the exact same size as the Death Star in Star Wars. Isn't that funny? It even has the little crater thing. You say, well, Star Wars copied this. No, Star Wars was made before they discovered this. Is that interesting or what? Is that bizarre? Weird stuff. Some people think UFOs come from Mars. Maybe they do. I don't know. This is Phobos, discovered. The 2 moons of Mars were discovered in 1877 by ASAP Hall. This is Phobos. This is a Russian probe is taking this picture. It has got a picture of Phobos here and that object, which is about 17 miles long. Looks like a big pencil. Then the probe turns, faces the Russian probe, and apparently a bright flash occurs, and some people say it shot the probe and sent the Russian probe as a spinner through space. And ever since then, we've been losing probes, even ours, the United States, in Mars, and nobody seems to know where they're all at. But that's a rather curious thing. George Adamski back in the 50s said, they come from Venus. Only problem with Venus is it has a rotational day of about 240 days, 42 days for one day on Earth, and it's real hot there, and they have an acid rain problem that you're not going to believe. So I don't think they come from Venus. Some people say it's the moon. That may be true. Farouk Elbaz is a NASA geologist. Guess what he says about what they found on the moon? This is a NASA geologist. He said there have been quite a few unexplained objects, most interesting, and tremendous shadows by enormous spires on the moon, many times taller than the tallest buildings on the earth. They didn't show that on the NASA film, though, did they? This is a NASA geologist for the Apollo project. Do you think they may not have told us everything? Some people say they're coming from the sun. I don't know. But they're seeing strange objects out here around the sun. They filmed them, but I don't know what it is. There are all kinds of theories. Some people, and I'm kind of one of them, think they come from a little closer. Real close. maybe even from here. It's just a theory, that's all. Nothing I want to get beat up over. It can come from anywhere you want. Doesn't matter. Some people have built airports for UFOs to land. They build these concrete airports. Folks, this is the United States from space at night. I think they can find us. The lights are on. They know where you're at. Every abductee and contactee in here knows they know where you're at. You don't need to put a sign up, come land here. They already know, okay? Many UFOs, this is a long time ago in the American arsenal, many UFOs are simply misidentified. Those are American aircraft. Long time ago. So even a long time ago, you can misidentify things. Many of the UFOs are seen today are technology, human technology. It's not hard to figure out the difference if they're real close. And when they're further up in the sky, it's hard to see. But when they get real close and you're paralyzed and it's coming closer to you, you tend to think it might not be an airplane. I thought you might like this. This is Mars Polar Lander here. Blankety blank UFOs. Do you know that we're doing this? The United States? Does anybody know what Star Wars is? I talked to some Russian scientists. You know what they said it was? It's designed, part of the program is designed to shoot down ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. The other part of the program is to shoot UFOs. They're right. Makes you wonder why. I'm just here to ask questions. I don't have all the answers, but this is a picture in 1561, a drawing, and here you see UFOs all over the sky from this witness. Two of the UFOs are on fire here, burning, because they're fighting. These guys don't all get along with each other. They have differences too. Some witnesses of UFOs have actually seen UFOs shooting at each other. Common today, this time. Why they do that, we don't know. But what I'm saying is that some of these guys don't even get along with each other. This is also in historical documents back in the Vyamanas, in the Mahabharata, and other writings, you can see the same thing. They actually nuked a whole city if that story is true. If the story is true. I don't know. I wasn't there. Okay, in the Bible it says in those days there were giants. Wow. You think that's a metaphor? I don't think so. Even in Israel today, they're starting to see strange things, giant size again. Even in the scripture, Jesus himself says, in the last days, men's hearts shall fail them for fear. What does that mean? That's a heart attack. Seeing the things coming upon the earth. I think he's going to be real close. All kinds of interesting things happening. Some of them a little scary. Some of them amazing. Some of them we just don't understand. In the past, some of the alien beings were referred to as gods. And you see them affecting mankind in different ways, kings and decisions and all kinds of things. And you see this often in paintings. Is everybody familiar with King Tut? When they got into his tomb and they got all these neat mummies? Well, these are two mummies that they didn't get to Cairo. They were stolen. This is a human mummy, and this one is not, as you can see. Can you believe they found this in King Tut's tomb? They didn't put that in the book, did they? Look at the bulbous head and the pointed chin and the large black eyes of this mummy. That is interesting. Fascinating stuff. This was found, he's 16 inches tall, and they found him in a cave inside a solid mountain. The gold miners blew apart a mountain and found this little guy, a little mummy, 16 inches tall, sitting there for who knows how long inside a little alcove, mummified. They have no idea what the thing is. They still don't know. Dr. Shapiro in New York has the x-rays of this thing. The mummy, of course, was later stolen, as most evidence is. I have over 1,000 cases of abductees. Some of them, in a few cases, and one of them is a very famous case, angelic beings, or reportedly angelic, interacted with the small gray alien. The result was not positive in those cases. The little gray guys took off in 80 miles an hour, scared the other direction, when the angelic was there. And I don't mean a Nordic. There's a difference. Nordics are not angels. Okay? This is a mask that was... Has anybody ever heard of the Varginha incident? Brazil, January 20th, 1996. UFO was shot down. NORAD reported it to the government of Brazil. And the little beings had 3 bumps on its head. This is a mask in northern Africa with the 3 bumps on its head. They put this mask on when the beings come down from the sky. Isn't that interesting? The little Varginha aliens, when they showed them, when they had the drawings, had the same 3 bumps on their head. 5,000 years later. Think that's a coincidence? That's interesting stuff. Wow. Historical proof here. This is a picture of an alien. There's an alien head here with 2 black eyes. This guy sent this to me. He said, you can use it in your presentation. This is a front porch of, the picture is much clearer. And he said, so this is an alien. I said, I don't think so. Because first of all, his eyes are pretty far apart, and one of them's lower than the other one. I said, it's either an anomaly on your film or it's fake. One of the two. I do have a good picture of what I think may be an alien, though. A good one. And you're welcome to come out the table and see that later. I'll show it here. This is an illustration of it. That's what you're going to see. Here's the same head. Let's see if we can back that up. There's the head. Notice this little protuberance on the head here, the large black eye. But notice he looks a little different than what you're used to seeing in the picture, in the movies. Okay? Here's the picture. There's the head. There's the protuberance on the head. There's the large black eye, the little mouth. There's the whole bulbous head. Here's the body. And here's his arm and his hand and the fingers. You see that? The arm, the radius and the ulna. There's his arm, bicep. There's the head. I have the picture if you want to see it. It's much clearer. You're welcome to look at it. There's his hand again. Okay, there's the real alien. I finally caught him. That's what he looks like. Bart Simpson. That's as close to the aliens I probably will ever see. Okay, some people think they're coming here to do us harm. We're going to be colonized. There are people who believe that. There is some good evidence that there has been some horrific harm done to people. There is some other evidence that show people have actually been healed. So you have, to me, as an investigator, I have to report everything. My police hat's on now. You understand that? I have to report everything. I can't report only one thing. You have to report whatever it is you find. Some people think it's a trap. This is a mouse trap. This is the abductee. Some people think they've been hoodwinked. There are all kinds of opinions out there. All kinds of opinions. This is a case I have in Dallas, Texas. The 2 children were abducted with the mother. The 2 children were in a little wading pool this tall. And I keep telling people, these little gray-head guys keep making mistakes. They can't even put your clothes on right. Because a lot of times you wake up with your clothes on backwards or off, upside down, that sort of thing. These 2 children were dropped off in the neighbor's swimming pool. And they both drowned after their abduction. The lady was almost charged with their murder because she had no idea what happened to her kids. They almost put her in prison because she could not explain where she was, because the mother was abducted too at the same time. They almost put her in prison because she had no answer. And whenever I worked with her, we found out exactly what happened. It was very clear. The alien, and this is just humor. I'm not picking on alien presence. The alien is clumsy. They make mistakes. They drop evidence and they leave traces if you know how to find it, okay? To me, I had this little cocoon with a little baby out of it. To me, this is what ufology is. We're just cocooned. We still haven't got out yet. We don't know all the answers. Some of us think we do, but we don't. We don't have all the answers. That's why we have to drag science into this. That's why we have to drag the medical field. We have to drag all of it. We have to drag spirituality into it. Because that's going to be the answer, you see. All of that. Not some of it, all of it. Okay? This is what it may look like when it's finished. Then we'll have some answers. That'll make sense. Okay? This is the real reason they're here. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. These are two anthropologists trying to figure it out. This is kind of like where we're at. We just still don't have any idea. Everybody thinks they got the truth. Don't trust anybody's answer, including mine. I don't have all the answers. I'm sorry. If I told you that, I'd be a liar. That is just not true. That is not true. I have some answers to pieces of a puzzle that go to something so big, I don't know yet what it all is, you see. I just don't have all that. Okay, let's talk about what we do at Sabre Enterprises. You walk in as an abductee or a contactee, I've had this experience, I don't know what happened. You're going to get a comprehensive questionnaire. Then you're going to get all kinds of tests, psychological, IQ testing, medical testing. You're going to have to get some x-rays for me, all kinds of neat stuff. We're going to do handwriting analysis on you. Why would I want to do that? Because if you have a propensity to lie, to exaggerate, do you know that shows up in your handwriting? Do you think I might be interested in that before we have our discussion? Oh, yes. And I'm going to read your handwriting before I have any talk with you. I want to see what you're all about. When the big newspaper, did everybody see that big picture in the newspaper this morning? It was a very nice spread. I did the handwriting analysis on the one who interviewed me before I would give her the interview. We got a good interview too, didn't we? Very nice, okay? We ongoing abductee support. You get medical help, this is our abduction forms too. You're going to draw some pictures for me. These are abductees, draw these neat pictures. I tell you what I want you to draw, and in that we'll find out more information about you than you know about yourself. This is, I want to see your artwork. Some abductees draw this. This abductee says, I'm not an abductee. I said, okay, I don't care. But he draws this being knocking on his door, and he opens the door, and there's the being, and there's a UFO up above his head. But I'm not an abductee. I said, okay. These are some of the beings that are reported in some of the drawings by some of the people. Some people have pleasant experiences, some don't have pleasant experiences. That's not my business. My business is the research. It's up to you to decide. In 1952, I was picked up by a being. He had large, round eyes. 1952. I was age 4. I remember my events consciously. I sculpted him. This is a sculpture of him. His eyes were round. Notice that many of the beings now have the large oval type eyes. Back then they had round eyes. I think this was a Ford model. And then they later went to a Lexus, you know. Which would indicate to me that some of them may be biologically constructed, cloned, manufactured. When you come in, I will ask about marks on you. These are from Brazil. Some of the experiences, as you can see, are pretty rough. This is a UFO, 2 UFOs taken in 1952, the year I was first abducted. This was taken by a police officer. I'm still working on it to see how valid they are, but the film is quite old. When you give your photographs, this lady's an abductee, and let me see if I can show you. That little dot right up there, I assure you that is not a star. The lady's film, she's doing a picture film, and she never know. She felt like she had been watched, but didn't know why. And then when she developed the film, she found the UFOs here. Later, she's out doing the same thing, and she finds them again. So you might want to look in your old pictures when you're outside and you feel like you've been watched. You may see a UFO in your picture. Look at them carefully with a magnifying glass. Okay, the marks on this man's back occurred in, he's a college student. 4 years later, we find the identical marks on another guy. They're not similar, they are identical. What made one mark is the same as the other. This mark here showed up on this guy's back during his second child. They showed up on the inside of his wife's thighs during the first child. They showed up on his doctor, she's an abductee too, in her first child, in her thighs. They showed up on the skin doctor, the dermatologist. The dermatologist who gave me the report, this same mark showed up on him later, after his examination. This is a very strange case. Many abductees have phobias. I want to know about your phobias. Many abductees have terrible phobias of needles. Many of them have skills that they weren't even taught. They can learn things just like that. So it may be medical, it may be technical, it may be physical. But their skills are just amazing, and in some particular area. They may not even found out what it is. They can, many of them can learn things quickly. Okay? It's very interesting. One police officer in his home had these little tiny hands in the glass in his window after his abduction. This is just a replica of the glass. It's on the video I've got. It's very amazing. Scientists have told me we may be able to take a special machine, let me put this back, a special machine and interface that special machine with an interferometer. What that means is we could pull out a three-dimensional image of what went through the glass. They say this may be the best piece of evidence ever. To do that, it's a mere $12,500. So I am looking for donations this morning. Just kidding. One of the things I want to know is about your missing time. Many abductees say, well, it was my experience was wonderful and warm and fuzzy and everything, and it may have been. One of my abductees drew this, and she says, this is what they wanted me to think they were like, warm fuzzies. She said, here's what really happened in my experience. That was the guy that was there. It was something much different than what I saw. Sometimes this happens. Okay? I'm looking at your background, your genetic background. 45% of the people I review are Native American Indian Celtic. That's weird. In this case of these abductees, I'm serious. The dog was abducted with the people, and the dog came back with the people and had a bunch of these are all the babies of the dog. They're all different. That's all the same litter of puppies. They're all different. Interesting case. So we're interested in genetics. This is in Marseille, France, the case I have there. The tree, this flower, grows only 6 foot tall, has only one flower. This one, after the UFO landed, is 18 feet tall with many flowers. So we're interested in possible genetics. Things that happen in fields, we're interested in that. We also have those in Houston, believe it or not. One of the things I'm very interested in, and Kate will come up here and will demonstrate that, is fluorescence. This is a material that I find on you after you fill out this part of your form. And this is a material, Kate, can you come up please? That we find on abductees. We have a volunteer today. And then we'll get into the implants. How do you know you've really had an alien abduction? How do you know that? Well, one of the things you can notice, and we might want to turn the lights down so we can get a real good, stand right there if you would. Kate does not work at the nuclear plant, so she's not going to glow in the dark because of that. When the alien touches you, when you tell me this story, let me see this one first. If you tell me that I had an experience, it was just last night a few hours ago, and they touched me right there, and they pulled me, and they did this and everything, the first thing I'm going to look for is fluorescence on you. Because if you've had instant contact, it will show up. the beings exude some type of oil-like material that penetrates your skin on contact. You can't wash it off. You can't get it off. You can't use cleanser. It won't come off. It will finally be absorbed by the body in a day, sometimes up to 14 days later, up to 2 weeks. So it's a brilliant green fluorescence, and it'll show up wherever they touch you. If they held you here or on the leg, that's where you need to look. Okay? Also, many times people will, they'll find these little needle holes inside their arm. If you can get to it early enough, you can see that some of the material that was injected in you with the needle has backed out of the wound and will actually fluoresce. Okay? You can actually detect that. But you have to get to the person very early to do it. Many times you'll find a needle hole right over the vein just below the bicep. This is where you'll often find the needle hole with the person. Okay? How do you know they're not just using drugs? Well, usually the drug's not going to be that color. Though some of you may know that. If a person has told me, they made me hold this little alien baby, it was weird, it was whatever, it was ugly, and I didn't want to do it and all that, they'll often have a fluorescence this color on the exact hand. I'll have them show me how they held the baby. And they'll have that color fluorescence on their hand, if I can move your neck here, and right there on their neck, wherever that contact was made. You can't wash it off. You can't get it off. They don't know this. I don't tell them. When they find it out, they're usually like a rape victim. They'll run to the bathroom and start scrubbing as fast as they can, try to get it off. They get real scared. You can't get it off. You can forget it. Okay. On one lady, I found a crescent moon on the inside of her neck. There again, you can't wash it off. You can't get it off. It just has to be absorbed by the body. Okay? On one doctor, you ready for this? On a medical doctor, put it all the way if you would, I found this after her experience. She had some colorful metaphors to describe it. Here we go. There you go. Very strange. Some of these are accidental by touch. Some of them are on purpose, as you can see. They're actually imprinted. So you see there's two different kinds of experience there. Could you give Kate a big hand? Thank you. Thank you, Kate. Yes, she is an abductee. It's real difficult to get abductees to do stuff like this because they get real freaked out, you understand? And that's understandable. I've been there and done that. Okay, let's move on with the presentation and get to some implants. Let's see what they look like. By the way, one investigator told me, said, well, I never found any fluorescence. I said, did you use a black light? He said, no. I said, there was fluorescence all over this lady's foot. You can't see it without a black light. You want to hear another one? Then I started using infrared radiation and started finding things with infrared. Things that won't show up under black light or visible light will show up under infrared. Wow. Do you know that the DSP satellite system uses infrared, ultraviolet, and visible light to see things? It can see your watch outside. It can read your watch from up there. Do you know that's how they spot UFOs? With infrared and ultraviolet. I thought that was interesting. They call them fast walkers in their log. I've seen the log. You got to use a black light, okay? The beings themselves, if you can blacklight a being, and this was done accidentally, they're actually a brilliant green in places all over them. Apparently where they sweat or it seems to the stuff surfaces, that sort of thing. Fluorescence can be used for all kinds of things. This is a carcinoma. It's a very dangerous cancer. You can use fluorescence to track these cells. You can go back later and see if it's grown, and the new cells won't have the fluorescence on them. There are all kinds of things you can use fluorescence for. This is some of the biological fluorescence you see in cells. You can even color them different colors, so you can track all kinds of things. Maybe the alien's doing the same thing. I don't know. All kinds of neat things you can do with fluorescence. This is a fish eye. Since we're here, Let me talk to you for just a second about an implant. I brought one with me. This one is a human implant. It's made by humans. It's injectable. This is what you inject your animal with, like your dog. Inside this, as I press this, you'll see a little implant come out. You insert it back here in the back of under the skin. Then you can run a machine over it and check if that's your dog or somebody stole it, that sort of. You can find it. You know, our government's wanting to do these to kids now. Why do you suppose that is? So they can find your kids if they get lost. Really? The problem is, whenever you get this in you as a child, they're going to make it a federal crime for you to take it out when you get bigger. Then they can find you when you're older, too. I don't like that kind of mentality. Let's just leave it with the animals, shall we? People start telling you they're going to have to do stuff like that to you. You tell them no. That's totalitarian. Okay. This is a bull sperm. Why did I want to put that on there? Because there's a lot of cattle mutilations and things going on out there. Do you think that we found fluorescence on cattle that were mutilated? We found fluorescence on abductees. Anybody getting a picture here? Interesting. Interesting. The U.S. government knew about it too. Why the U.S. government were there with black helicopters? Because they saw the fluorescence with ultraviolet radiation from space. They can pinpoint the cow. And be there with black helicopters. How did they get there when the UFOs got there? Because they saw it too. UFOs may have marked these cattle with fluorescence prior. Okay? This is fluorescein from the eye. This was given to me by my optometrist. I said, ma'am, can you use fluorescence on some human being in the time it takes for a normal abduction of 1 to 3 hours? And she said, absolutely. Absolutely. See, this is totally possible. She said, if we can do it, they can do it. This is the DSP satellite, 18 satellites. You know this thing can see mad cow disease from space? Do you know that? Because mad cow disease is, the disease is at least 5 degrees hotter than other cows. So they can spot with infrared mad cow disease. You know they knew that before the scare ever came out? Do you know that we have a mad cow-like disease in the United States? It's in the deer population. How did we find it? That thing right there. This is one of our abductees drawing 2 aliens with a cow being taken up and so on. This is his view of it. Okay, and this is fluorescence, and also these big, huge triangular bruises show up under infrared radiation. You can't see it without the infrared. Okay. All right. This was a case in Brazil. This is my daughter-in-law. They tattooed her after her abduction. That is not a normal tattoo. She was so upset, she went to the federal police of Brazil. The federal police of Brazil took this. She turned the case in to the feds. That's just the way it works. She's very clear about that. We're also looking for other genetics. On the back of this person here, there's a thing called a Mongolian blue spot. We don't know why, but on certain people, there's a blue spot right in the very middle of their back. We're trying to find out what that's all about. But we're looking at all kinds of genetics, all kinds of things. We're also looking in abductees' eyes. We're starting to photograph their eyes now and see if there are any changes after your abductions. That might be interesting to see if there's anything there as well, okay? Let's talk about implants for a second, and then we'll do a question and answer time. We want you to get an x-ray. One lady came to me and says, oh, look, Mr. Sims, there's this big implant. I said, the technician forgot that there was scissors laying underneath you. And they x-rayed the scissors. No, there's some scissors inside my body. I said, I promise you they're not. It's an accident. Don't worry about it. They were just laying on the scissors. There are detectors that we're working with now. Some of them can help pick up the possibility of an electromagnetic transmission from an implant. Those of you who want to do that, want to be checked, come by afterward at my table, and I'll check you for free. The first case that I had that I made public, I've had for about 5 years. This lady had these objects in her feet. Her doctor says they were surgically installed. Problem is there was no history of surgery. So who did the surgery? But she does have a good, clear history of abduction. So we finally took her I put her under hypnotic anesthesia because she has a severe phobia of needles, so I couldn't let her see any of that. Afterward, we, as you can see here, they get ready to prepare for the surgery. I find in my analysis after I took the implants back to Houston that the implants glowed brilliant green under a black light. The biological covering glowed a brilliant green, just like what we saw in this lady's hand. I thought that was curious. We found no signs of inflammatory response around these objects. We found the wrong kind of nerve cells present that should not have been in that part of the body. Unbelievable. This is rather amazing. We're going to find some other things that's more amazing than that. Now, I've got some of that in my book out there if you want to read it. We found another gentleman had one in the back of his hand. He was playing with a stud finder one day. Does everybody know what a stud finder is? One of those little electronic things you run over a wall and find studs. It finds metal. He was playing with it on his hand and it goes, doot, doot. Whoa. So he called me right away and said, we need to talk. We took him to surgery. Removed these objects, same biological material. We found in each of these people a material inside them was from a rare meteorite. Not likely that you're waving your hand around getting rare meteorites in it, with no signs of entry and a strange biological system around it. Then people get these strange scoop marks. Does anybody know what a scoop mark is? I'm going to stand here and light and see if I can help you a little. I have to show you mine. If you can come to the table out there, I'll show you this close. There's a little scoop that they take out of your leg. I remember this when I was age 4. Now, at age 4, my legs are only about that big around. They're a little skinny guy. Little tiny legs, so the scoop was still the same size, so it was real noticeable, you see. Inside that scoop mark, we found solar elastosis. Solar elastosis is a condition in which intense ultraviolet radiation has been blasted into that little scoop, like a cauterization, you see, which again tells the medical doctors that they didn't do this. What kind of cauterization do you think we had in 1952 that some little boy 4 years old would have in Midland, Texas? I don't think so. This is what the object looked like, the big T-shaped object looked like. That's one part of it right there. It had 11 different elements surrounding it. It is from a rare meteorite. Okay, this is not cleaned up. They haven't cleaned it up yet. This is just what it looked like when it came out. It's magnified 400,000 times. This one, the second part over to the side, had a crystalline belt. You can see the belt is partly destroyed here from work or whatever they've done with it. But a crystalline belt surrounded this entire portion of the implant. We also found implants in the mother. We also think they're in the brother, but he won't come forward. He's real scared right now, so he didn't want to do that. That's okay. You can see all of this in my videos out there, Best Evidence or the other video. Where do you find implants? Question they asked me, well, where? Where out in the body? You can find them in the eye. This is an implant. You remember the ejectable implant I told you about? There's that device. They're injecting this in fish because you can track them and do all kinds of neat things with them. Alien implants are not for tracking. Forget it. It's not a transponder. Forget it. I don't care what you've read. These are people who don't know. These are people who are looking at human stuff and saying it's the same. It isn't. Most abductees do not have implants. They find you, in my opinion, with a neural scan. You don't need an implant. They can find you anyway. It's not a problem. This is an ocular implant that fell out of a lady's eye at work in front of her boss the night before she had been abducted with 8 people, all witnessed and all gave the identical testimony. We think this object is hollow. It's like an egg. The hollow part here we think may have housed a biological camera and attached to the retina. What's significant about that? I've been told there's a medical doctor who has one of these objects still attached to the retina of an abductee. If we can get that evidence and prove that, it might support this case very well. Okay? The same lady that the object came out of her eye assaulted her captor, tore his eye cup off, and found something strange behind his eye. You know, you want to see what that was? Does anybody want to know? Nobody? Okay. Just want to see if you're awake. That's what she found beneath his eye. A red stippled screen and 5 little white lights running back and forth like this in 5 different places of the eye, back and forth. That would suggest this particular guy was constructed. Okay? We're not going to cover that. That's good. Other things here I want to do. These were 4 little gold balls, 4, found in a little girl's nose. Her mother had gone to a workshop that I conducted, figured out how to find evidence. It's not too hard if you know what you're looking for. She found 4 of these little gold balls. They're about the size of a pin head. They're very small. The mother drops them in the carpet and loses them. A few days later, the little girl gets re-abducted. They find 4 more in there, and they send them to me. So 8 total out of 1 little girl. Most amazing. This is a nasal implants broken apart in 3 places so they could examine it. This was the first one I found in the nasal passage of a lady. Okay? These are 2 of 4 found in the knee of a man. The man does not claim to be an abductee. He just says, I had missing time and a knee injury. I don't know what happened. It wasn't an alien. Okay. His surgeon opens up his knee and finds 4 objects this size. He calls them tic-tac size objects inside his tendon. He said, they are not naturally occurring. He said, I don't know what they are, and I don't want to know. So he sent them to me for analysis. They're in labs right now being analyzed. Other objects. This is the lady's back. This is her breast, her stomach, her lung, and there's the, excuse me, let me get here, make sure I get, there it is right there. A very large object, triangular shaped object, very big, next to her lung. This is a military lady, and her doctor believes her story of alien abduction. He said the object is too deep, he would not try to get it out, which I agree with. This is a case in Brazil. Look at the size of this object in this lady's foot here. Very long, very strange. It's not a needle. I've already thought of that. That's what I thought before. This is in the man's hand, here in the thumb, you see. There's his object. This is one of the most interesting cases. You're going to love this. This is the guy's, his femur. This is tibia and fibia, the bottom part of his leg here. And there's the object. Here's what it looks like up close. The object is, first of all, there's a scoop mark here. Look how many scoop marks on this guy's leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a row, 1.5 inches apart. And underneath one of the scoops is this triangular shaped configuration. And in front of that is a giant ball about 1/8 of an inch away from that. The surgeon is jumping up and down, this cardiovascular surgeon. He says, where do you find this stuff? This is weird. What is this stuff? I said, you just take it out. You're the mechanic. I'll tell you where it's at. So he's very excited. We're going to have a very interesting surgery this time. We got to fly in a lady from Brazil, that one with her foot, and get some of these out too. Now, I don't want all implants out. We want to study implants in the body too. But first of all, we got to get them out, find out what it is we need to study. Does that make sense? You got to figure out what it is you got to study first. Then we'll start studying them inside people. We don't want them out. Okay? All right. This one, Odd Gunnar gave me to study, and it turned out to be, it was quite normal. It's just a piece of metal, iron. I gave him the report on this. And it's a lot of things you find in people are normal. Sorry, they're just normal stuff. They're not alien. Okay? This is a case in Brazil. This is the man's brain. There's the object. If you can see it quite clearly, it's a manufactured object. I assure you the military did not open this man's head up, put an object that big inside his brain, close it up, and didn't leave a scar. And a few months later, this object disappears. Somebody took it back. Here's another picture of it. It's a very, very large object. Very strange, okay? Strange stuff going on down in Brazil, I guarantee you, okay? The biggest thing that I think we're going to find, I told 250 surgeons, is we're going to find the most important implants ever. I said, I think the metal ones, the ceramic ones, all these other implants, in my opinion, are passé. They're old. They're 40, 50 years old. The new stuff is biological, and it'll be almost impossible to find. And the doctor says, well, what will you find around these biological implants if you find them? I said, we're going to find central nervous system cells around the biological implant, brain cells, anywhere in the body. Anywhere. It's a mini brain functioning. Does that make sense to you? That's some pretty high-tech stuff. All biological. Then we found one. This is terrible. Remember the lady I did hypnotic anesthesia on? You know why I was so interested in her? Her brother spontaneously combusted. She had a foot implant before that. She had a scoop mark and then this thing underneath it. I made one mistake in my life. I made several, but here's a big one. I gave the implant to the doctor. He put it in a formalin material, kept it himself. The next day it disappeared. He said, well, it vaporized. I said, uh-huh. I got my police hat back on now. Uh-huh. Have you ever seen anything vaporize in formalin before? No. Why do you suppose this did that? I don't know. Did somebody break in here? No. It's under lock and key? Yeah. You got the only key? Yeah. I've arrested people for less than that. It disappeared. I'm very upset. Very upset because that one is a big one. I think that was maybe our first biological implant. That would have some amazing stuff behind it, okay? This is, we'll close with this, and we'll have some question and answer. We'll turn the lights on. Then you can all wake up. No. This is a sonogram. I have two of these cases. I ran one of them in a hospital. A doctor freaked out. A lady came in and claimed a rape by an alien. Aliens don't have testicles and so on, so they don't rape anybody. But they can artificially inseminate you. Whatever the story, the lady was pregnant. The problem was, and I told this doctor, he said, well, I just don't believe in all this stuff. He said, but this thing is weird. And I said, it's going to grow at a rate of 10 to 1. And I said, in just a few weeks, I said, you're going to have a full-sized fetus ready to go. What? Within a short period of time, it started growing so fast, this doctor is freaking out. Isn't this great? This was actually happening in a hospital. They put her in the psych ward. Why do you suppose that is? So nobody can find her. You don't want that as part of the record. Put her in the psych ward. She's got to be crazy anyway, even though she still got this strange thing in her. So I took these to London and had specialists in London look at these, and all I asked was, do you see anything wrong with the sonogram photos? The answer was a resounding yes. What's wrong? Sonograms are never taken this way. This is not correct. What's wrong with it, doctor? When you do sonograms, you look at the aorta, you look at different parts of the body to see if the fetus is viable, if you want to keep it, if it's diseased. Okay? What's wrong with this? I never said anything. Just what's wrong with it? You said it was something wrong. What is it? She says the person that took these sonograms are not interested in that. They're interested in what the fetus actually looks like, the whole body. So she said, who did this? I said, I don't know. I did know quite a bit, though. I have two of these cases. I said, do you see anything unusual about the fetus itself? And she said, that's weird. And the other doctor conferred. He said, that's really strange. I said, what do you see? And they said, look at the big bulbous head and the small pointed chin. She said, that's very strange. I said, what kind of medical condition would you suggest that might be? She said, the only thing I can think of is hydrocephalus. where they have the large, baby head. I said, well, doctor, I said, my sister died from hydrocephalus and she didn't look like that. Thank you. That was the end of that story. Okay, what's the best evidence? The best is yet to come. Some of you probably have it, and you need to talk to me after this presentation.